All right, guys. So you have gotten to the point where you have put together a proposal. You have scheduled a meeting to come in, sit down, talk with the influencers, talk with the owner, talk with the CEO, talk with the executive team, talk with the project managers, whatever it is. Let me just sit down here for a minute. Whatever it is that you're doing to, suss out an agreement, you'll need to, first of all, get buy-in from everyone involved. The second thing is present numbers. Always want to present numbers. Always want to have deliverables, have timing, have the objectives. And I'm actually, here, let me pull up one of my contracts here. Okay. So I've had multiple occasions where you come in and all of a sudden they want to have a stall. They want to say, hey, I want to get buy-in from XYZ. I want to get my accountant. I want to talk to my mother. I want to talk to my daughter. I want to talk to my wife. Whatever it is, there's usually some reason for someone not to take action. And a lot of times if you have really good prospects, you have some people who are taking action in the world, making a difference, and actually going at their business like, all right, I'll spend whatever it takes to make this happen, or I'll do whatever it takes, I'll make it happen. And those are the kinds of customers that you'll be like, oh, thank God I have this kind of customer, because if not, they're going to be hounding you all the time. They're going to be, it's just, it can be a pain. So this is my proposal template. And so here's what you'll see. Situation appraisal. So this isn't just like a recap of, it's like, oh, well, Oasis Fitness and Yoga was started in 2005. No, that's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the problems, description of what the client needs. So they were able to rely on initial marketing, but they'll find it hard to keep up with competition. Staff is always busy. And with the limited amount of time, it makes sense to bring on a contractor or an agency. And so the objectives of this, a lot of this is pretty boilerplate for me. I just kind of take out the names and, because a lot of my customers look the same. I mean, similar on the surface. So objectives, boost awareness, create net increase of funding. We want to increase the pool of potential clients, increase the frequency of, says machine leasing, but this would be like sales or something. Systematize the experience, utilize world-class techniques, increase market gravity, meaning people just come to you. Establish them as a health and fitness center in Hollister, California. Add value to the process. This basically means they come to you as a consultant to give information and data and relevant information. And so the next thing would be, hey, what are the metrics? A lot of times I'll work with them at the beginning in that consultation. When we sat down and we looked at lifetime value of a customer, when we looked at customer value, when we looked at average transaction size, we can get an idea of the metrics of this business. So how are we going to measure, first of all, how are we going to measure it? And then what's the value of that? So a measurable increase in memberships, a measurable increase in the quality of service, software to gain contact with the customers like MailChimp or Benchmark or whatever you use in the customer relationship management software, and a net increase in positive reviews. Also, the value of meeting these objectives, and a lot of times I'll put in like a dollar amount here. This is when I was getting started out. This was like kind of a smaller business. But a net increase in the customer value and quality of life, that doesn't really have a number. But if we look at lifetime value, obviously if they're in better health and better shape, they're going to have a better quality of life and they can stick around with you longer. Reduce the cost of customer acquisition and increase in customer appeal due to market gravity. Okay, so the next thing is I go methodology and options. So this is where I put in the deliverables. I always want to have an AB or ABC proposal or an offering so you can move them up and down in inventory. I just closed a deal just last week where I sat down with the client and they were like, hey, can you work with me on the budget? And we said, yeah, we can work with you. What are you really, really, really looking for? And then they gave me the core things that we had talked about. And they said, this is what we really, really need to happen in our business. And I came back, made a proposal, and then added another option that was even more expensive than the one we had talked about before. And then we worked it out. So we were like, oh yeah, let's just do the more expensive one because we want to have that extra security and we want that extra traffic and the extra conversions and all the other services that comes with an upsell. So always, always, always give another option. If it's just one or two more, I think the psychology behind it is when someone looks at your proposal, if there's just one price, they either say yes or no. Like I've always gone, if I ever gave a proposal and it was just one price, like 60 grand. And it was just like, oh, damn it, what was I thinking? Because if they look at the proposal and they just see the 60 grand, they're just like, yes or no. They just say it's a binary choice. Yes to 60 grand or no to 60 grand. But if they have an A, B, and an ABC proposal where they have 1, 2, or 3 options, so if they look at that, they say, oh, 60 grand or 80 grand? Which one should I get? Oh, well, the 80 grand has more service. It has more options. It has more features. It's going to make the product and it's going to make our company better. So, hey, screw it. Let's do the 80 grand. And, we're going to pay him in installments anyways. And he's going to give us a 10% off if we do it all at once. So let's do the 80 grand and let's just chop it up. And, so anyways, the way they're going to look at it is they're going to look at the prices and go, which one instead of yes or no. And so you always want to have options. So I go in here, I say, I go through, I create a little sales funnel in my mind and think about all the best ways that I can put that together. So professional ad materials, follow-up manual. Like I was going to go make a manual for them because I wanted their employees to use it. Marketing campaign for best buyers, free library of fitness ebooks, cookbooks, and reports. Next is execute and oversight. So really execute. This is more of like you do most of the work and I'll just put together the infrastructure. Next is execute and oversight. So execute all the things listed there. And the next is kind of longevity. So depending on the contract, I'll make basically like a basic, then a premium, then a platinum service. And so just think of ways that you can add more service, like access within 24 hours via phone. Or, just give some premium features like you get extra speed on your services and your response and how long things take and things of that nature. So always, always, always be able to upsell, even if it's just a small thing for you. It could be a big thing for the customer. They would say, oh, I want 24-hour access because, if you're going to have it, make sure you charge for it. And then so the customer knows that if you're on call, they're paying you for that. And available by phone within 3 hours and by electronic mail within 24 hours during normal business hours. So that means if they don't pay the premium price, they're not going to get premium service. Understand that these things will cost them money and understand that it is available to them. So option 1, option 2, option 3, joint accountability. So what are we both accountable for? Just information and things like that. So $1,500 per month, $2,500, $3,000. Back when my rates were pretty low. So plus 10% of trackable sales, So this had like a commission thing to it. And then all fees are exclusive. So they exclude travel, lodging, and dining as long as all work is. So if I had to fly to like New York or something, I'd bill them for that. And then all administrative and logistical communications, 50% down, 50% after 45 days, and then a discount of 10%. Most people go for the professional discount when full fee is paid on acceptance. Then I have the 1, 2, 3. Then this proposal acts as a contract, and I'll sign here and date here and get them to sign here and write us a check. And that is my basic proposal. Now, when we talk about closing a proposal, You really just want to answer people's questions and then kind of ask some tough questions like, how do you make sense of doing this? And then they'll kind of sell themselves on doing it. Like, um, how do you make sense of this deal? Like, how do you make sense of $3,000 a month? Well, one customer is worth, $1,000 to me over, a year. And so if we get an extra 50 customers, that's 50 grand, 50 grand, $3,000. Oh, it makes total sense. I mean, I love the way you presented it. I love how organized you are. I love your case studies, the information, um, some of your testimonials. I mean, yeah, let's do it. And they'll kind of walk themselves into the sale. Now, a couple times you'll have like, I need to talk to this guy. I need to talk to this person. A lot of times they'll say, well, what if he says no? And then I've had the decision maker say, well, he won't say no. I'm the one who writes the check and makes the decisions. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just say he says yes. Why don't you put a signature on this contract here? And then if he says no, we can come back to the table and discuss some of the details. And then he's like, are you asking for a signature? And I said, yes, sir. I'm asking for a signature here. And I point to the line, and we got a signature right there. So suss out some of these objections. The price is too much. A lot of times he's not saying the price is too much, I can't afford it. A lot of times he's saying it's too much for this, or I don't really see the value yet. And so when value exceeds price, they will buy. So if you are charging 100 grand for a marketing, let's say a marketing proposal, and they say no to the price, you haven't built the value yet, and or you haven't given them a range that was good enough. Maybe they think 100,000 is too cheap. Maybe they don't think you're actually going to get the job done for 100 grand, right? So if you go in and say, hey, this is going to cost anywhere from $100,000 on the low end to $250,000 on the high end, then they say, well, okay, how far do we want to take this marketing thing? And so you get some options. And when you go in to ask for money, always be ready. Before you go in, like, I've never asked for more than, asking for 60 grand the first time and things like that. It's just kind of going to knock you off your socks if you've never done anything like that before. So make sure you can go in, and the best price is the one you can say without laughing. That's what they always say. And a lot of times your prices are too low. So go in, be prepared for some objections. Know that they're really questions. And if people aren't buying, then you haven't really shown the value yet. So when it comes down to that, always go over here to this value part of this metric here, and either suss out the value of the customer or the value of the project getting done and the changes that's going to have in their business. So I hope that was good for you. Closing techniques are always going to be something you need to keep working on. And if you get the exclusive coaching, or if you're on my team here, you already have the assistance of me and myself and everything that I've gone through. So make sure you reach out to me. Tell me what objections you're getting, and I'll see you guys in the next video.